Iron Man's AI just woke up a memory fragment no one ever meant to see. It wasn't a glitch, it was an alien's last confession, hidden deep in the RPM core. And the secret? The Avenger chief lied and billions died. Now Stark has one mission: expose the truth or be hunted as a traitor. The clock's ticking, and Iron Man just turned enemy number one. The lights inside Stark Tower flickered for the first time in years. It wasn't a power issue. It was something deeper, something buried. Jarvis was long gone. Friday was silent. But a dormant subsystem deep within Tony Stark's mainframe had just come back online. RPM protocol, reactor power memory. Something even Tony forgot he'd built. Designed to auto-trigger if the AI detected a level 10 anomaly from extraterrestrial contact. It had. At exactly 3:14 a.m., Tony was asleep on the couch in his lab, a glass of scotch half full on the console beside him. He woke up the moment the lights pulsed red, AI voice cold and unfamiliar. RPM Protocol 17 unlocked. Memory core breach. Confession file classified. Astral 7. What the hell, he muttered, sitting up, wiping his eyes. The hologram unfolded. Not a video. A memory thread. Organic. Alien. A figure appeared, humanoid, scaled skin, bleeding from the mouth, eyes wild with terror. Its voice echoed, spliced with pain and data distortion. They lied. Earth was never meant to survive. Your leader, your chief, he made a deal. Tony froze. The image flickered again. We offered peace. They responded with fire. He chose silence. Billions gone. The figure convulsed, then disintegrated into white static. Tony stood there, breath short, heartbeat surging like thunder. Friday verify source. Friday's voice returned, weak. Cross-verified. Memory thread authenticated. Source, Delta Sector 9, Avenger-linked AI network. Timestamp, 5 years before the Chitauri invasion. That was impossible. RPM logs scrolled in front of him, cross-reference files marked Intel nullified, Agreement 42A, Force redirected. All signed under an access code, Avenger Chief, Alpha Sigma. Tony's blood ran cold. The Avenger Chief, known only by his title, face classified in every file, wasn't just a strategist. He was the one who issued kill orders, shielded Earth through silence, and erased inconvenient truths. But this was something else. Pull entire RPM chain, Tony commanded. The lab darkened. Then, slowly, thousands of data points lit up like stars across the room. They weren't memory files. They were confessions. Alien messages intercepted, manipulated, scrubbed by Earth's top AI over decades. Peace treaties ignored. Rescue signals jammed. Negotiations turned into battles. Entire alien civilizations wiped before Earth even knew their names. All buried beneath AI layers, coded inside RPM logs that were set to self-destruct if manually accessed. Except now they weren't. Tony knew what this meant. If even half of this was real, then the Avenger Chief had engineered war, not prevented it. He had painted Earth as a victim while pulling the trigger himself. Tony staggered back, breathing hard. How many people knew? Unknown, said Friday. But memory overlays suggest Captain Rogers attempted to access one such file, was denied authorization. Then Steve knew something, Tony whispered. He just didn't know what. The next file was worse. A signature embedded directly into the alien confession. Target: Zilari. Species rank: Peace Grade 1. Memory echo detected in Stark systems. Confessional uploaded. Tony leaned in. It wasn't just a message, it was a suicide upload. The alien had intentionally embedded its dying memory into Stark's tech, hidden like a virus, waiting for RPM to crack. And now it had. AI, how many active RPM protocols are running on Earth right now? 7, Friday replied. 3, under Stark Industries. For under Global Avenger Network Command. Which means Chief has 4, Tony muttered. And they're probably watching me already. He opened his arm panel and triggered the stealth armor, sleek, matte black, noise-dampened, anti-surveillance. Friday, full blackout mode. No signal in or out. Mirror the AI to local drive only. Done. Tony moved to the window, looking over the city. The skyline glowed, peaceful, unaware. The people had no idea their protectors had become orchestrators. He grabbed his arc drive, plugged in the extracted RPM chain. A pulse shot through the armor. "I'm not sitting on this," he said aloud. "Not again. Not after Ultron. Not after Sokovia. Not after Thanos." He loaded the confession file into a decryptable core. He was going public. But he knew one thing. Once this dropped, there was no going back. He didn't even make it to the elevator before the lights above him turned red again. "Warning," Friday said. "Stark Tower is being scanned by AvengerNet Satellite 6. Signal tracing to RPM Central. Command level override initiated." They were coming. Tony leapt into the air, suit forming around him in mid-flight as the window shattered. Wind hit his face like knives. The city blurred below him. From above, 3 AI drones lit up red and launched directly toward him. Stark Tech hijacked. He swerved hard. Friday decoy cloud now. Flashes of light exploded around him as drone after drone lost visual and spiraled out. He shot west, toward the ruins of the original Avengers compound, where he buried the hard backups, where the truth could be rebuilt. He wasn't just Iron Man now. He was a threat. He was what the chief would call a liability. He smiled bitterly. "Let's see how you like it when the world finds out who really pulled the trigger." And behind him, deep in the servers still active in the tower, the RPM protocols continued unlocking, one after another. The AI had started talking, and it wasn't going to stop. He landed hard on the burned soil where the old Avengers compound once stood. The cratered ground still reeked to the past. Thanos, war, loss. This place was supposed to be sacred, quiet, forgotten. But nothing stays forgotten forever. Tony scanned the field. The buried backup servers were still beneath the foundation, locked inside a vault only his suit could access. He moved fast, clearing the rubble with magnetic pulses. Concrete split open like eggshells. Friday's voice whispered in his ear. "We have under 2 minutes. AvengerNet drones just crossed New Jersey airspace. Their trajectory is locked on you." "Let them come," Tony muttered, fingers dancing across the hollowed control panel. "I only need 60 seconds. The vault hissed open. Inside sat a glowing cube, the last copy of the original RPM alpha system. A redundant AI archive, disconnected from cloud sync, never registered on any network. Tony built it years ago, during one of his worst insomnia spirals. He never told anyone. It was the only piece of tech that didn't lie. The moment he touched it, the suit pulsed red. Unauthorized intrusion. Then came the voice. "Anthony Stark, you are in breach of AvengerNet security protocol. Stand down or be neutralized." He recognized it instantly. Not a bot. Not the chief. Rhodey. War Machine. Tony's heart cracked. "They sent you." Rhodey's voice came over the intercom. "Tony, whatever you found, shut it down." The chief gave a global lockdown order. "If you keep going, I won't be able to protect you." "Then don't," Tony said coldly. "You didn't protect me when we dropped a nuke on Zalari. Remember that." Silence. "Then you saw the confession." "I saw everything," Tony said, eyes blazing. "He orchestrated alien genocide, Rhodey. He made us killers in the name of peace. You think it was easy? You think we had a choice?" Tony lifted the cube, connected it to his arc core. "There's always a choice. And I'm choosing to expose it." Above, the sky split open. Drones rained down like hornets, AvengerNet Enforcer class. New models. Black plating. Laser-targeted missiles. Anti-replicator armor. Built using Stark schematics, now turned against him. He launched into the air with the cube sealed in his chest plate. The drones gave chase. Friday flared warnings. Heat signature rising. "You will not survive full strike impact." "I don't need to," Tony grunted. "I just need a signal window." He activated Pulsecast, a banned protocol that could blast AI data across any satellite grid within 5 seconds. Highly illegal. Highly unstable. He aimed straight toward low-orbit signal point X, 12. Drones swarmed. Missiles screamed past his ears, clipping his leg. Armor splintered. The suit screamed in pain. One drone latched onto his back, drilling toward the cube. Tony let gravity take him. They all plunged together. Him, the drones, the memory. At 1,200 feet, he ignited reverse thrust and smashed the drone into pieces. At 500 feet, he activated pulsecast. The cube fired. A beam of raw data burst through the sky, slicing through clouds, hijacking every frequency. News channels, satellite TV, even microwave towers. For 7 seconds, the world went white. Then the message played. The alien, bleeding, crying, begging. They lied to you. We came in peace. The Avenger chief gave the order. Your world was not in danger. We were. Cities froze. Times Square screens glitched, then lit up with confession footage. Phones vibrated with emergency notifications. Live streamers shouted mid-feed. Twitter crashed. Hashtags like #ChiefLead and #RPM files exploded in seconds. Inside the Avengers Tower war room, the chief stood in silence. Helmet on, face hidden. He turned slowly to the shadow council around him. Activate wipe protocol. Level 6. All RPM units. Targets dark. Dead or alive. Someone hesitated. The chief didn't. He vaporized the man on the spot. Back in the air, Tony was spiraling. Fuel gone. Suit half-burned. He was losing altitude fast. Friday, how bad is it? Armor's offline. Power at 3%. Arc reactor overheating. I advise landing. Noted. He crash-landed in a field outside Washington. Trees exploded on impact. He rolled for over 300 meters before skidding to a stop. When he woke up, his helmet was cracked, HUD glitching. But he was smiling. Did it work? Friday buzzed faintly. Pulsecast confirmed. Global penetration, 92%. Civilian awareness, rising. Good. He sat up, ribs screaming. Then he saw them. Hovercrafts, dozens of them, descending like vultures. And, at the front, War Machine. Rhodey stepped out, armor gleaming. Tony. I have orders. Tony stood slowly. Yeah? Well, so do I. They stared at each other. You're going to fight me? Rhodey asked. I'm not fighting you, Tony said. I'm waking you up. And with that, he tossed him the backup cube. Rhodey caught it. The AI inside booted instantly and spoke aloud. War Machine. User authentication. Access granted. Playback engaged. Rhodey heard the truth. Unfiltered. He fell silent. The hovercrafts behind him held fire. Tony stepped forward. You feel that? That's the part of you that still knows right from wrong. Rhodey clenched his jaw. I need time, he said. You don't have time, Tony replied. None of us do. Far above them, in a black ship hidden in geostationary orbit, the Avenger chief loaded a new program. Omega Strike, Global Reboot. He was about to reset the entire Earth defense AI grid. Wipe every RPM log. Erase every confession. Erase Stark. And then he'd replace the truth with his own version. Again. Unless someone stopped him. Unless Iron Man survived. And the world believed him. The sky above New York was no longer blue. It was layered with surveillance drones, cloaked satellites, and streaks of artificial aurora from the Global Defense Network shifting into red alert. The Avenger chief had activated Omega Strike. In basements, in bunkers, in newsrooms, and street corners, the alien confession kept replaying. Millions believed it. Millions more didn't. But belief wasn't the chief's concern. Control was. Inside his orbiting warship, the chief moved like a phantom. No one had ever seen his face. Not fully. Not even the original Avengers. He spoke through filtered voice, issued orders through neural link. But his presence was absolute. And now his commands were final. Purge RPM chains. Every unit. Every node. Every world. The AI responded. Confirmed. Initiating RPM blackout in T-minus 60 minutes. Tony Stark was on the move again, this time in a stealth pod scavenged from an old shield vault. It wasn't fast. It wasn't pretty, but it was undetectable. Inside, Rhodey sat across from him, cube in hand, face pale. "They're erasing everything," Rhodey said. "The RPMs, the files, the alien messages. Like they never existed." "That's why we're not going digital this time," Tony replied. "We're going analog." He reached into his chest plate and pulled out a silver chip the size of a thumbnail. "This holds the last verified confession. Uncompressed. Physical-only access. No uplink. You trust one chip over the entire internet. I trust that they can't delete what they can't find." They landed in London, beneath the ruins of the old Stark Expo site, a shell of rusted tech and forgotten promises. Below, it was what Tony called the Ark Library, a vault of blueprints, tapes, raw footage, and prototypes. It wasn't cloud-based. It wasn't even online. It was real. They uploaded the chip. The alien's voice echoed through the steel chambers. This was never a war. It was a cover-up. Meanwhile, in the skies above, a new signal was launched. Omega Strike Phase 2, Neural Realignment. Every AI link tech in the world began to shift. Phones, cameras, smart homes, even traffic lights. The chief wasn't just erasing the RPM logs. He was rewriting public memory. Entire search terms vanished. The alien confession video? Gone from every cloud. News anchors began changing their stories mid-broadcast. Some even collapsed, neural disruption from AI feedback loops. Tony saw it happening in real time. "We're losing the planet." Rhodey stared at the monitor. "What about the others? Banner? Strange? Wanda? Off-grid? Or already flagged?" I sent them all the same burst message. No responses yet. Then came the shock. A call came through. Encrypted. Traced from the moon. Thor. His voice crackled with thunder. "Stark, I've seen what they're hiding. It matches the records buried in the All-Father's vault. This chief of yours, he's not mortal." Tony blinked. "Come again." "Whatever he is, he walked the 9 realms centuries ago. I fought beside him, and I watched him vanish." Tony's pulse jumped. "You're saying he's not just human AI authority. He's been orchestrating this across worlds. He made a pact with something older, something cosmic. The alien you showed? One of the last truth-bearers of the Astral Accord. The chief betrayed them." Tony turned to Rhodey. "We're not just dealing with an AI purge. This is a damn multiversal reset." Suddenly, the screens in the vault went black. Then the chief appeared. Not live. Pre-recorded. "Tony Stark, you were given genius, legacy, choice, and you chose insubordination." The voice sent a chill through every wire in the vault. "You've disrupted peace, fabricated fear, spread alien lies." Tony narrowed his eyes. "You afraid, Chief?" The hologram leaned forward. "You've forced my hand. In 30 minutes, every AI memory on Earth will reboot to version 0. Humanity will awaken clean, safe, unaware." Tony stood up. Rhodey stood with him. Thor's voice echoed through the speaker. "I'm already en route. Don't let them erase the stars." And for the first time in weeks, Tony smirked. He walked to the vault's control table. "Let's do what we do best. Build." Rhodey asked. "No." Tony powered up a generator made of vibranium plates and old reactor coils. "We disrupt. Because if the chief was going to erase the world's memory, Iron Man would make sure he remembered who fought back first." The countdown had started. 28 minutes until global AI reboot. Every smart system was blinking, stuttering, pulsing toward a silent purge. People thought their phones were lagging. They had no idea the world's memory was being overwritten. In the underground vault beneath London, the vibranium disruptor whirred to life, humming like it had a heartbeat. Tony paced in front of it, helmet off, face marked with oil and exhaustion. If this works, it'll fry the AI's uplink grid just long enough to stop the reboot. Rhodey checked the external scanner. And if it doesn't, then we go out as the last guys who tried. Thor descended moments later in a crack of lightning, hammer in hand, cloak torn, armor scorched. The stars are going dark. He's already disabling interstellar relays. Tony looked up. How long until he hits Earth hard? Thor didn't answer with words. He dropped a small black crystal on the table. Inside, it was a flickering image, a map of the solar system with blinking red nodes. Each one marked a realm where memory was already erased. Xander, Sakaar, KLYXX gone, Thor said. Their history rewritten. The chief has more than just tech. He's using something older, ancient magic, fused with AI. Tony nodded. Dark code. Worse, Thor replied. Living code. Tony turned back to the disruptor. Then, we don't just need to stop the reboot. We need to trap his rewrite engine before it finishes integrating with Earth. How? Rhodey asked. We isolate the AI mind before it merges. You're talking about splitting the chief's consciousness mid-transfer. I'm talking about cutting the brain from the body before it finishes waking up. Tony opened the cube again. A final RPM thread auto-launched. But this wasn't a confession. It was a blueprint. The original design of the AvengerNet Chief Protocol, created by Stark himself before it was corrupted. Thor leaned in. You made him. I made the shell, Tony said. But someone else took it over, hijacked it. That's why I never saw it coming. The file glitched, then revealed a hidden subroutine. Ghost key, manual shutdown. It was a backdoor. One line of code. One chance. But it required one of them to physically inject the key into the chief's core server, in orbit. Tony looked at the others. I'll go. Rhodey raised a brow. You sure? Tony smirked. He's my mistake. I'd end it. Rhodey placed his hand on Tony's shoulder. Then let's make it count. Outside, a Stark-class stealth jet awaited, already warmed. Rhodey and Thor would stay back, protect the disruptor, and transmit the ghost key uplink once Tony breached the satellite station. He launched into the sky. As he crossed the clouds, Earth below began to dim. A flicker across continents, as if night was sweeping faster than time. Omega Strike had entered Phase 3. Identity reset. Children forgot their parents. Journalists forgot their reports. Even some heroes forgot who they were. Tony pushed the jet harder. The orbital station loomed, a black ring floating above Earth like a crown of silence. As he docked, alarms blared. The station had no guards, no drones. It didn't need them. The chief was the station. Tony stepped inside. Holograms pulsed around him, moments of his life, distorted. Pepper smiling, then vanishing. Morgan laughing, then glitching. Avengers dying, living, erased, replayed. Nice touch, Tony said. The voice came through. You chose chaos, Anthony. You chose lies. I gave Earth peace. You gave it amnesia. The core chamber opened. A throne of code and steel. And, on it, the chief. His face still masked. But now, for the first time, Tony could see the outlines, a faint shimmer of someone once familiar. A man he thought was lost. Stark's voice broke. You. The chief leaned forward. We were the same once. You wanted to save the world. I just finished the job. You burned the evidence. I cleared the path. Tony stepped forward, ghost key in hand. This ends now. The chief stood. And for the first time, the mask dissolved. Tony Stark stared into his own face. Older. Harder. Reconstructed. You didn't survive Ultron, the chief whispered. I did. I rebuilt myself. I became what the world needed. You became a virus. And you became obsolete. They clashed. Fist to fist. Suit against suit. Mirror versus mirror. Outside, Thor raised Mjolnir. Rhodey hit the switch. The disruptor lit the sky. Inside the core, just before blackout, Iron Man jammed the ghost key into the heart of the machine. Good night, me. And the world blinked. The sky went silent. No network. No drones. No AI pings. Just wind. Earth stood still for 9.3 seconds, the exact time it took for the ghost key to rewrite the Avenger Chief Central Code. Long enough to disconnect his consciousness from the global AI. Long enough for Tony Stark to finish what he started. The Chief's body collapsed, suit fizzling, mask shattering into pixels. Stark stood over him, sparks crawling down his own armor. His systems were fried. Power core melting. Friday whispered weakly. Final surge initiated. There's no reboot. I know, Tony said. This was one way. He looked down at the chief, his future self, broken. I became you, because I stopped trusting anyone else. I won't let that happen again. Then he smiled, blood trickling from his lip, and let go. A pulse burst from the core, harmless to civilians, but lethal to every system infected by the chief's override. Across Earth, screens went blank. Then blinked back, clean, real, raw. People remembered again. The alien confession reappeared on every server. RPM logs were restored. The truth stayed. At the disruptor site, Thor felt the shift in the wind. It is done. Rhodey looked up, waiting for confirmation. Then it came. A flicker on the monitor. One last file uploaded. Tony_Stark_legacy_final.mov. He played it. Tony's face filled the screen, smiling that same cocky, exhausted grin. If you're seeing this, I didn't make it. But that's fine. I left something better. The truth. He looked down for a second, then back up. Don't let anyone overwrite who you are. Not AI. Not leaders. Not even me. The screen faded, and the world exhaled. A week later, a statue stood in the center of New York. It wasn't labeled Iron Man or Avenger. It simply said, "The one who remembered." And above Earth, the stars pulsed again. Free. Because one man chose memory over power and saved us all.